What if I told you a 36-year-old soldier just overthrew a government, defied France, and became Africa's youngest president overnight? In today's video, we'll uncover the fascinating life of Ibrahim Traoré, the revolutionary captain who rose from an ordinary military officer to the powerful interim president of Burkina Faso. You'll learn about his humble beginnings, the shocking coup that made him famous globally, his bold anti-colonial stand against France, and why millions in Africa now see him as a hero. Stay till the end to hear about the secrets and controversies surrounding his rapid rise to power. Ibrahim Traoré was born in 1988 in Bondoukoui, a small rural town in Burkina Faso's Mouhoun province. Growing up in a farming family, he witnessed the harsh realities of rural life: poverty, lack of education facilities, and the struggles of the average Burkinabe citizen. Despite limited resources, Traoré was determined to study. He attended local primary and secondary schools with exceptional performance, eventually earning a place at the University of Ouagadougou, where he studied geology. His classmates remember him as quiet but principled, disciplined, and always intrigued by politics and national liberation movements. After graduating, instead of pursuing a civilian job, Traoré joined the Burkinabe army in 2009. He trained as an artillery officer, quickly gaining respect for his intelligence, strategy, and leadership skills. Colleagues say Traoré never showed personal ambition for power, but always voiced concerns about Burkina Faso's corruption, lack of security, and foreign exploitation. He was later deployed in northern Burkina Faso, a region torn by Islamist insurgency and terrorism. To understand Traoré's rise, you need to know Burkina Faso's recent history. Burkina Faso, formerly called Upper Volta, gained independence from France in 1960. However, it remained heavily influenced by French politics and business. The country was renamed by revolutionary leader Thomas Sankara in 1984, meaning Land of the Upright People. In the last decade, Burkina Faso faced a severe security crisis. Islamist groups linked to Al-Qaeda and ISIS expanded in the Sahel region, killing thousands and displacing over 2 million citizens. Villages were burned, schools closed, and people lost faith in their government's ability to protect them. In January 2022, President Roch-Marc Christian Kabore was overthrown by Lieutenant Colonel Paul-Henri Sandaogo Damiba, who promised to restore security. Traoré supported this coup, believing it would bring stability, but within months, Damiba failed to achieve any significant military success. Traoré, who was then leading artillery units in Kaya, saw soldiers dying, morale collapsing, and the population losing hope. This sparked frustration among junior officers. On September 30th, 2022, Traoré led a group of young officers in a second coup, ousting Damiba and declaring himself as the interim president. At just 34 years old, he became the world's youngest serving head of state at the time. His justification was simple: we are fighting for the survival of our nation. Thousands flooded the streets of Ouagadougou, waving Burkinabe and Russian flags, chanting his name, and denouncing France for allegedly failing to help against terrorism while exploiting resources. One of the biggest reasons Traoré gained popularity is his anti-colonial and Pan-African stance. He expelled French troops and ambassadors, accusing France of manipulating internal politics and failing to fight terrorism effectively. Instead, he strengthened ties with Russia and Mali, seeking new security partnerships. His government signed military cooperation deals with Russia's Wagner-linked African Corps, despite global controversies around Wagner's human rights record. Traoré openly admires Thomas Sankara, the revolutionary Marxist leader assassinated in 1987. Like Sankara, he calls for African unity, self-reliance, and an end to neo-colonial economic systems. In a fiery speech in Accra during the Accra Pan-African Summit, Traoré declared, "Africa's resources must benefit Africans first. We will no longer be slaves in our own land." At age 34 during his presidency, he became a symbol of Africa's youth power. He lives in a simple, military residence instead of the presidential palace. He often quotes Sankara's speeches in public to show solidarity with frontline troops. Many call him Captain Courage for his fearless rhetoric. Videos of his speeches go viral on African TikTok and YouTube, inspiring youth across Burkina Faso, Mali, Niger, and beyond. Despite his popularity, Traoré faces criticism. Human rights organizations report increasing civilian abuses by the military under his rule, and there are concerns about freedom of speech suppression. Critics fear that partnering with Russian mercenaries could bring new risks. Under his rule, Burkina Faso has expelled French troops, suspended French media outlets like France 24 and RFI, and pivoted towards Moscow. Terror attacks have slightly reduced, but security remains fragile, and the country is still under threat. Traoré argues that Burkina Faso's poverty and conflict are due to external exploitation. Burkina Faso is the fourth largest gold producer in Africa, yet most of its gold is mined by Canadian, Australian, and French companies, with little reinvestment locally. Traoré wants to renegotiate these contracts. In 2024, Traoré joined Mali and Niger in creating the Alliance of Sahel States, AES, a military and political pact to resist foreign intervention and coordinate security efforts. This is seen as a challenge to ECOWAS and Western influence in the region. Some fear it could trigger regional instability, while others call it a historic liberation movement. He has promised to restore civilian democracy by 2024, but many question if he will remain in power. For now, he remains an enigmatic figure, hailed as a freedom fighter by supporters and criticized as a military strongman by opponents. In a world dominated by aging politicians, Traoré's youth, courage, and Pan-African rhetoric make him a symbol of hope and change for millions. Whether he becomes the next Thomas Sankara or ends up like other failed military leaders remains to be seen. Ibrahim Traoré's journey from a quiet geology student to Africa's youngest president is filled with bravery, ambition, and controversy. His story is a window into Burkina Faso's turbulent struggle against terrorism, corruption, and neo-colonial exploitation. Love him or hate him, he has already changed African politics forever. If you found Ibrahim Traoré's story fascinating, check out our next video on Thomas Sankara, the revolutionary icon who inspired him.